In this video, we'll try to find out Dr. Yunus how to start a Grameen Bank. He had problems with the government. Why did he have to go to labor court? From the beginning of his life and from setting up a business. This is the start of a large rural bank. Everything from work to microcredit. We'll talk about it in today's video. Dr. Yunus was born in Chittagong. Since the 1940s, you've realized that before India became a part of Pakistan, India was divided into Pakistan in 1947. Dr. Yunus was born in 1940. He was born only 7 years later. India was then divided into Pakistan. Dhaka is the capital of East Pakistan. The University of Dhaka and Dr. Yunus at the University of Dhaka. A few days later, his brother and his master's degree and he's doing both of his masters. Economics and you'll see that the career. He is a professor of economics, finance. To do something far away. He didn't want to try his whole life. He entered the world of economics. Into the world of economics and he's always been around another. I'm finding it very interesting. He was born in India. He started his school in India. He went to university in Pakistan. Technically, East Pakistan. Part of Pakistan and then when he finished his PhD, student career in Bangladesh. If you look at each certificate, one of the reasons why this country is, in fact, there are a number of changes. Because it's very interesting. Maybe not so many people. He graduated in 1960 and master's degree from Dhaka University. Both of them studied economics at Dhaka University. When he finished his master's. Do you think I'm working now? I'm going to do it right now in America. PhD. Scholarship from the university. The offer comes in and this is the full scholarship offer. He went to the United States and he started his PhD in the United States. What was the subject of the PhD in economics? How to do something in a rural village. Inflation has an impact based on. Why this conundrum? Inflation actually affects the rural economy. And how it affects him. He completed his PhD in Bangladesh in 1969. Mass uprising continues after completing PhD. Dr. Yunus has a very serious mind. The question is, what do I do now? I'm going to live in America now? I'm going to try to get a job. I'm trying to build a business. Am I going to America? We're living in a foreign country. We've all been there at some point. What are we going to do to finish our education? He later decided to go abroad. He left the country in 1972. He is a professor in Bangladesh. If he goes to Chittagong University, I'm not a teacher of economics. He started teaching a few years ago. Don't read very well. There's no difference in life. He's taking classes and everything is going well to do this. It was in 1976 that Dr. Yunus. I think he's a great teacher. I can't contribute much. The opportunity to do more or if I have the ability to do more. What should I do if I want to do something? I think it's building a business. Should get out of this profession. Bangabandhu died in 1975. There was a famine only a few days. There was a great famine in Bangladesh. The economy of the whole country is very bad. The situation is so bad that the bottomless pit says a lot. At such a time, Dr. Yunus decided. I started my business in 1976. I'm going to quit being a teacher. What's normal and what's business? I'm not going to open a bank. What is the name of that bank? There will be Grameen Bank and 8 Grameen Bank. It's not like 10 normal banks. If you want to understand the bank, words that are synonymous with bank, you need to understand these words. The words are microcredit micro. This is a microcredit financing. Every term is a word, but Dr. Yunus's brainchild and credit to him or her. This is why it is also called the father of small loans. What is microcredit? I mean very simple small loans, very small money loans, and this. Loans are given only to them. In the normal banking channel, you don't have a chance to get a loan. It's something that people usually think about. When do people usually take out a loan? Take a loan from the bank in the normal scenario. You think you're leaving for higher studies. You need an education or buy a car. You'll need a car or you'll need a home loan. But these are the traditional loans. It means you don't have anything. You don't have anything in your life. You've got a small loan. You can buy 5 or 2. You can buy a goat or you can buy a cow. You'll never find yourself in a situation like this. You don't get a loan from the bank because you can't give any collateral. You can't lock anything. If I had to pay the bank if you can't, come get me. No, because you don't have anything. The rural banks that are Customer Pool Grameen Bank. Most of them served before. I didn't have a bank account before, so the dream of getting a bank loan is far away. They weren't in normal banking. They never had a bank account. A lot of work to do and a lot of debt. It's such a client. Grameen Bank targets its business. Here's why you should start a bank. Why don't you think the bank? Why is the bank doing this? People don't buy chicken. The normal bank is bad. The reason is that banking is not. Banking is a business and when a bank lends money to a business, the bank's interest on the loan. It's the interest that the bank. That's what the interest is really. Profits for the bank. When you need to buy 2 chickens. Whether it's a loan or how much. How much money or how much money. Not so much for private banks. Say, or even banks say they're so small. It's too much for small loans. They don't care about millions. Are interested in a large loan. Big interest means big interest. If the bank's main business, you think you're in the bank, you'll never be able to blame. Rural banks are not giving small loans. The startup and rural bank started to become very popular. The people in the village and at this time, the first allegation against Dr. Yunus came in the first place, but only. It's not coming from Norway. Documentary and Grameen Bank based. Because it's slowly spreading. Started in many countries around the world. A lot of credit has already started. From a place like India, allocations begin to come to people who are in debt, unable to pay the money, going to the bank or their home. It's going to take the whole house. Most of the time it's not true. Bank, as I've said before, the collateral does not demand the Grameen Bank. I won't tell you if I owe you. If you can't take my cow. If you don't go, the question is, it is possible that if there is no collateral, I'm going to borrow it so it's for me. Bank for Grameen Bank. Isn't that a huge risk? I'm coming to buy chicken. I'll give it to him if he pays. If I can't do it, I can't do anything. If he doesn't know it, he's can theoretically be taken. The question is really too much. It's not because the bank is here. Creating a unique model that it's not a bank that does. Support landing means rural. The bank seems to have gone to a village. He went to the village and said that 10 of you came to me. Don't have a problem with it, but if there are 2 people in this village, if we don't pay, we'll never. I don't have a PR network. Type the group in which it is located. All 10 of the group are from Grameen Bank. There are 10 people in the group on a regular basis, repaying the loan and the villagers. The bank is said to be among these 10. If 2 people don't pay us back, next month, there will be 8. It's because we're doing our operations. We're going to take this whole group. I'm not going to put a ton of stuff inside. I say that because they are rural. They don't have a collateral system. These are the styles of rural banks. In order to ensure that we do not owe our, this is a microcredit to get your money back. There have been criticisms and there's a lot of microcredit. There is also research that is critical. Does microcredit really work? A lot of people say that these loans doesn't seem to be of any use. Big loans, big money deals, large institutional loans. With the exception of these very small 500 and 1,000. It seems with a loan of 2,000 and 4,000 and 5,000 rupees, it's not a criticism. Rural on microcredit. Not on the bank and a lot of it. Most of the research has been. There are some unique features of microcredit. There are no other benefits. There is no single credit system. The women's rural. Most of the bank's borrowers are women. I can't tell you the exact 97%. 96% is very high. When the women and girls were loans and loans from rural banks, paying off and getting a loan. What they're doing with a small, they're doing some business. A chicken or a small goat. This is how the firm works. Money when they do it themselves. It's a small village inside. Themselves within the group. It means to be an empath. What it means to be empowered when it comes to 13 years. At the age of his, tell your mother when you're getting married. I can't be 13 years old. I won't marry his daughter. When you say you don't want to get married, my mother could say that again. If you don't want to eat, this is the only thing it'll come to you when you. Financial capacity will increase. This was reported by Grameen Bank. It's the same for women in Bangladesh. It wasn't the women who were. It is said that the rural bank loans are the most. A second of the big benefits. It's a small business that. Loans are being given to buy chicken. A loan to buy or a loan to install a toilet. When one of these loans is. Everyone goes into the village. 2 or 3 of them from the. To manage a small business. To manage a small farm. But it takes 2 people. 2 men to manage the farm. The farmer needs a small amount of time. It's not like there are 500 employees. A lot of people have gone small. One of the 2 small. It employs 2 small. Many employment opportunities are created. In a rural bank or in a general. One of the great advantages of microcredit. He is seen as a Grameen Bank doctor. Yunus is driving while he studies. He eventually dropped out of the education line. He entered the world of banking. And after a while it turns out that 97% of people. Rural bank loan repayment. As I said, 96%. Women don't have this problem. It's slowly becoming popular. When Dr. Yunus's global began, Bangladesh's recovery begins. I go to every rural bank, as well as the world outside Bangladesh. Microcredit in various places. The concept began to spread, Dr. Yunus every day from one country to another. He goes to every country. Microcredit in that country. A lot of time to help. They are experts in lending money to rural banks. It's often taken to the Dr. Yunus himself goes to microcredit. It is popular all over the world. I'm starting to get interested here. Let me tell you that many of you may. It'll be fun when the Grameen Bank. When the village began to expand. Different types of banks. Just take it out of that relationship. Get out and start more side ventures. Grameen Bank and these side ventures. One of them was rural telecom. This is the telecom communication in Gramganj. The rural bank to increase the. This was a rural telecommunications project. A few days after the launch of rural telecom. Telenor is a Norwegian company. Telenor comes to Bangladesh and Telenor Norway. Telenor and Grameen Bank. The 2 telecommunications companies. To start another business. The business is called Rural Phones. Rural Phones in Bangladesh. It is one of the largest telecom operators. Grameen Bank is doing very well. Telecom has become many more side ventures. Everything is in order. It continued in 2006. Grameen Bank and Dr. Yunus. Both were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. It's interesting that they didn't win the Nobel Prize in economics. They didn't win the Nobel Prize in economics. The Nobel Prize and the Peace Prize. That's why microcredit. That's how the extra benefits. Women's Empowerment said that this job. An opportunity to create a village. Within a small community. He said it was to promote peace. To make things up to them. The Nobel Peace Prize is awarded for economics or the Nobel Prize in economics. In addition to the fact that you get. See the list of awards for Dr. You can't stop the awards. We're not going all the way there. There are so many prestigious awards in the world. It's all Dr. Yunus or Grameen Bank. Or they're both on the list. I don't remember going to school. When Dr. Yunus won the Nobel Prize. The government was probably Awami League and BNP. Everybody's having a big celebration. There was no problem, Doctor. That's when he got the Nobel Prize. Celebrations were held all over the country. We're so happy when our country's Nobel Prize. The problem started a few days later. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 and 11 governments came, and when 11 governments came, Dr. Yunus as advisor to the caretaker government. He did not accept the offer. He said that's why he didn't agree. He's going to reform for a longer term. What he wanted at that time. The government is not willing to give. There's just no reliable source. It is said that the Dr. Yunus then Sheikh Hasina or Awami League then wanted Dr. Yunus to be a part of their political parties. Dr. Yunus wanted the other side to form a team and he will join Awami League and politics. BNP is the third of them. He wanted to create a power. He wanted to form a third political party, Bangladesh, and the team that made it. The name was given to the civil power and the party. The operation started in Bangladesh. The team couldn't select the team was in operation for a year. Citizen Power, which is headed by Dr. Yunus, was a political party for a year. Understand Dr. Yunus after the operation. Politics may not be for him. He quit the party to join politics. Sheikh Hasina and the Awami League. It's sad that they were here. Dr. Yunus wanted a separate political party. Don't make a deal with them. With his Awami League party. It's part of what doesn't happen. The Awami League is very angry and then win. Awami League is the next election. But the Awami League came to power in the election. And since last week's, the Awami League was in power the entire time. 16 years or 17 years or 15 years. Then Awami League came to power. It can be seen that the entire Awami League government. Dr. Yunus is devastated. The first problem is Bangladesh. If the bank is 60 years old according to the company law, you and the banks, you can't be a reviewer. If you can't bank, if you are over 60 years old, want to remain MD of the bank even after 60, in this case, your bank, Bangladesh will have to take special permission first. Dr. Yunus has a problem with the government. This is where the Awami League government came to power. It is said that Dr. Yunus is 60 years old. It's too late and Dr. Yunus is no longer. Can't be the head of a rural bank. On behalf of Grameen Bank and Dr. Yunus, it is said that two things are one rural bank. If you want my bank, I'll be happy if my friends. I'm having a lot of trouble staying. I can stay if I want to because it's. Private bank is my company. Who will be the CEO is up to me. There is no need for an official interview. And the second thing is that's if I'm wrong. I've had it for 11 years. It's called Dr. Yunus's. Maybe a little over 70 years old. I have been for the past 11 years, after the 60s. I haven't had any in the last 11 years. Why don't you say these two things? And there are some more things to be said. It was appealed to the High Court. It's a huge ball and it's. Butterly Dr. Yunus and Grameen Bank. Dr. Yunus lost to Grameen Bank. Many have been removed from the. These are some of the documents There's not a lot of evidence that says. If Dr. Yunus is not a dissident of the government, he would never have been removed from this position. Was not the Attorney General at the time. The man who said it publicly. We should have won the Nobel Prize. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Prime Minister but Nobel Prize. How did Dr. Yunus get it right? There were no such statements. The Attorney General then said. Awami League leaders said. So there are 2 or 4 of these. The Nobel Prize plus. Both of these are due to the government. If not, maybe it's the Dr. Yunus was removed from Grameen Bank. Dr. Yunus from Grameen Bank. He's gone like the rest of the world. He traveled all over the world. A number of universities call him. He went to universities in different countries. It's called microcredit. To establish himself in that country. He makes money from books. It turns out that many of his royalties. Yunus centers around the world. The Yunus Center. Royalty to use the name Yunus. Money to set up a microcredit. To make money for his income. He lives his life in a rural bank. He has had no contact with him since. The story of Dr. Yunus Grameen Bank. Rural bank has gone out of the. He is running like a bank in Bangladesh. He can't do anything in Bangladesh. He didn't get a chance to do that because. A man who defied the government. There's another twist in the Bangladesh government. Attempt to build the Padma Bridge at the same time. Making and taking loans for the Padma Bridge. Trying from different places. Bangladesh government to take loan from World Bank. In the end, the loan was stopped. The government of Bangladesh complains that. The main reasons for the loan. One is Dr. Yunus. Bangladesh wants Padma Award from World Bank. The bridge is not paid for and the Padma Bridge is finally in Bangladesh. Loans are not available and. When the Padma Bridge was inaugurated. Sheikh at a ceremony after the inauguration. Hasina was asked that now you. What would you do if you found Dr. Yunus? Hasina has said on several occasions that Dr. Yunus is actually stuck on this loan of the Padma Bridge. Learn and learn when asked. Hasina that you've got Dr. Yunus now. What did Sheikh Hasina do? in front of everyone at the conference. The Padma Bridge should be pierced twice. The bridge's money stopped him again. 2 sinks in the Padma River. You should take a little Padma so that you don't die. 2 bridges across the river. Should be taken to the doctor and then. I'm very sorry about the university. He did it again in another show. The Prime Minister said to me, I want to dip in the water twice. I want to be noticed and cared for. Don't die over this. Discussions were going on at the time. And Dr. Yunus at various times whenever the opportunity. There are different types of government. The government has also issued a statement. Most of the doctors at the time. Yunus whenever there is something about the government. Asked by Dr. Yunus. Awami League government in Bangladesh at different times. Awami League was in power at that time. Different types of government. The story has been told and continues. Let's keep this going in 2021. The Labor Court commenced proceedings on the labor. The first or the most. The case that the doctor. The main statement of the case against Yunus. There is a rural bank law. The rural banks. 5% of the employees. What needs to be distributed has not been removed and another. The complaint was made to Grameen Bank 100 or 110 to employ such a large number of workers. They weren't temporary workers. The 2 major ones and more. A case about some extras. Dr. Yunus against labor. The Court Factory and Inspection Directorate. This case, and in addition to Dr. Yunus. For more accused of Grameen Bank. Surrendered to Dr. Yunus and he has sought bail for 36 days. This is the time for the doctor. Yunus asked to stop harassment. Obama writes a letter, and then more. Heads of state and former Nobel laureates. Nobel laureates are all intelligent people. I wrote an open letter, and here is a list of Irish people. I remember when he was Prime Minister. An open letter to Barack Obama. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And the Awami League government is even angrier. And they say it's perfect. We're actually a judicial body. We didn't do anything about whose. I don't know if the case will go to trial. The conclusion will be that doctors are really workers. Is it the money that's so expensive? The 40 Nobel Prize winners. Advertising by name. Why do you have to put it in a foreign newspaper? That's my question and not much else. It's interesting to see that Dr. publish these letters against Yunus. The case continued to escalate and, once against Dr. Yunus, there are 18 ongoing cases. And Dr. Yunus's own brain capacity is a large part of the cost. The start of these cases. Give and take in these cases. Do you have a plan to prepare? I can't program on Monday. I don't know what to do on Monday. You do it because you don't know. Only those who are associated with me. All the people who work with me. The workers were not given identity cards. Returns are not properly submitted to the employees. There is no proper work environment for employees. There are no such allegations. When there are different types of cases. Let's talk about Dr. Yunus. I don't know how true Dr. There are now many cases against. It's 1819 by Dr. Yunus. He had to appear in court a few days later. When Dr. Yunus was asked to bail, the cases were being heard in the court, on one of the upper floors. This is on the ground floor or on the 9th floor. The cases were taken up for hearing and Dr. Yunus, for some reason, he was present during the hearing. The elevator to the court where he was. I didn't work out how true it was. I don't know if it's the truth. It's a very bad thing. The final is in January 2024. In a month we learned that Dr. Yunus is 6. It's not just a month in jail. 5,000 rupees fine imposed on Yunus. It's all there, and the first. The court has reserved judgment in the case. That Dr. Yunus is now an accused after the verdict. Dr. Yunus is very emotional after coming out of the court. In a press conference. It wasn't that the reporters were standing. So Dr. Yunus to be heard when the court. He came out of it very interesting. He says it's our fault. I wasn't punished for that. We were at the head of the nation. We carried what was on our heads.
He claimed it wasn't right.
And the appeal process begins. Think about how much a person's life. As many of you know, Paris, the 2024 Olympic Games. Dr. Yunus was one of the chief guests and Dr. Yunus's life is interesting. On the one hand, he thought he was working. The court ruled that he was. The accused was sentenced to 6 months imprisonment and a fine of 5,000 taka. Zarabana, he appealed against it. The hearing of the appeal has begun.
Because he went to Paris.
Guests at the Paris Olympics. One of the Olympic Games in Paris.
Doctors have a new concept.
France wants to promote the zero issue, and that's why he won the Paris Olympics. Was made one of the chief guests. Think of the doctor's life. Against him in the labor court. A case has been filed against him. Another 17.18 cases are still pending. The situation is very bad in the country. But the rest of the world is one. Prestige assist is perfect for him. The whole world is calling him. It's such a good premium. The places are full of guests. This is the picture of the coin on both sides. When the Olympic Games were held in Paris. Look at the Olympics going on. The student movement in Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina and the student movement. Sheikh Hasina resigned. They were the leaders of the student movement. Get in touch with Dr. Yunus. He was told to contact Yunus, the head of the interim government, whether the advisor agrees with him or not. He left for Bangladesh from Paris. And then there are more interesting things. He was the one who appealed the case. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail and paid. The appeal was suddenly dismissed. It's up and running the next day. Dr. Yunus can go to Bangladesh. The hearing of his appeal, and he has been released on bail. A day later, he was sworn in as chief advisor to the government. The life of Dr. Yunus that fascinates, and my life is so interesting. I think very few people have experience. That's why Dr. Yunus. Of course, there are a lot of